I grew up in a house that looked perfect from the outside. A neatly trimmed lawn, a white fence, polished cars parked in the driveway, and a family that seemed perfect when neighbors stopped by. Smiles, warm greetings, polite small talk. Everything staged like a performance. But inside those walls, the truth was far colder than anyone could imagine. I was the middle child, yet I felt like a ghost. My older brother, Ethan, was the golden boy, smart, athletic, and the pride of my parents. My younger sister, Lily, was the baby everyone adored, fragile and spoiled, always treated like she could do no wrong. And then there was me, not the brightest, not the cutest, not the most talented. To my parents, I was simply not enough. It started small, little comments at dinner. "Don't talk with your mouth full, you're embarrassing us. You're too clumsy. Why can't you be more like Ethan? Lily deserves the last piece of cake, not you." But one night, when I was 11, the cruelty escalated into something I'll never forget. We sat at the table, the scent of roast chicken filling the air. I approached with my plate, ready to sit in my usual corner. My father looked at me with a stern expression. "You're not ready to sit with the family yet," he said firmly. I froze. "What?" My mother added, "You need to learn discipline first. Until then, you'll eat in your room, understand?" Ethan smirked. Lily giggled. My chest tightened as I picked up my plate and walked away, trying not to let them see the tears welling in my eyes. That became my new normal. Dinner trays in my room. Isolation. My parents called it teaching me responsibility. But really, it was rejection wrapped in cruel justification. I watched through the crack in my door as they laughed together at the table, clinking glasses, sharing stories. And I stayed in my room, invisible, unwanted. That moment carved a wound in me that never truly healed. As the years passed, I noticed things. At first, small things that a child might miss. But as I grew older, I understood the lies behind the family's perfect facade. Ethan, the golden boy, wasn't as flawless as my parents believed. I caught him stealing money from Dad's wallet, sneaking out at night, and cheating on exams. Once, I even overheard him bragging to his friends about how easily he fooled our parents. Lily, the angelic baby, was far from innocent. She lied constantly to get what she wanted, played people against each other, and learned quickly that tears got her out of any trouble. But my parents, they were blind, or maybe they chose to be. To them, Ethan and Lily could do no wrong, while I was the one always scolded, punished, and excluded. One of the biggest betrayals came when I was 17. I had worked tirelessly for months on a scholarship essay, dreaming of escaping to college and building a life away from them. The day I submitted it, I felt proud, hopeful even. A week later, I found my essay in the trash, torn, stained with coffee. My mother stood over me, arms crossed. "College isn't for everyone," she said coldly. "You're not ready. We don't need you embarrassing us out there." Ethan was accepted into his dream university the same year. My parents threw a party, showered him with gifts, and bragged to everyone they knew. Meanwhile, I was forced into a dead-end job, trapped in the same house that never felt like home. But I didn't break, not entirely. I learned to be silent, observant, patient. I started keeping notes of Ethan's lies, Lily's manipulations, my parents' hypocrisy. I didn't know why, but deep down, something told me that one day this would matter. When I turned 23, something inside me shifted. I had spent years yearning for their approval, craving a seat at their table, believing that if I worked hard enough, if I was patient enough, they would finally see me. But one night, as I sat alone with a cheap microwaved dinner, I realized something. I didn't need them. I didn't need their validation, their acceptance, or their love. If they couldn't see my worth, that was their blindness, not my failure. That realization became the fire that fueled me. I started taking online courses late at night after work. I saved every penny I could, no matter how small. I built connections outside my family, people who saw me, respected me, encouraged me. Slowly, I climbed. I got a better job, then a promotion. Eventually, I moved into a small but cozy apartment. For the first time in my life, I felt free, but I didn't forget. I still kept records, documents, photos, conversations. Ethan's mounting gambling debts, Lily's fraud at her workplace, my father's shady financial dealings, my mother's lies to friends and neighbors. Piece by piece, I built a collection of truths that could shatter the perfect image they had spent decades crafting. And when the time came, I knew exactly what I would do. It was Lily's engagement party. My parents planned a lavish dinner, inviting relatives, friends, colleagues, everyone whose opinions they valued. The house was decorated with flowers. Expensive wine flowed freely, and the dining table sparkled with crystal glasses and polished silverware. Of course, I wasn't invited, at least not officially, but I showed up anyway. When I walked in, silence fell. My parents froze, Ethan scowled, and Lily gasped in horror. "What are you doing here?" my father demanded. I smiled calmly. I came to finally sit at the family table. Gasps and whispers rippled through the crowd. Before they could throw me out, I pulled out a neatly organized folder and placed it on the table. Inside were Ethan's gambling debts, screenshots of Lily embezzling money from her company, and evidence of my father's tax fraud. I had copied everything to a flash drive as well, which I slipped into the hands of a well-respected uncle sitting nearby. The room erupted. Relatives gasped, friends whispered, and my parents' faces turned pale. "This is who you've always chosen over me," I said, my voice steady. "The golden boy, the spoiled angel, the perfect parents. But here's the truth. Behind your masks, you're liars, cheats, and criminals." Lily's fiancé stormed out. Ethan's friends turned away. My father's colleagues muttered about ruined reputations. My mother broke into tears, not from guilt, but from shame of being exposed. I didn't wait for their response. I stood tall, shoulders back, and walked out of the house that had never been my home. For the first time, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel weak. I felt free. And as I stepped into the night air, I realized something. The sweetest revenge wasn't just exposing them. It was thriving without them. I had built my own life, my own table, and they would spend the rest of theirs watching the outsider they once rejected rise higher than they ever dreamed. Sparkles, the end.